Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Reddit Repairs. This is the third episode in the series. Let's jump straight into finding some posts that we can look at and see if we can figure out a fix for. Okay, so this user is saying that he's stuck in a loop. He's saying that he's installed Windows 11 and it got corrupted. Now resetting, reinstalling, and doing whatever does nothing, and it just restarts back to Windows 11. Um, Depending on how he's restarting his or reinstalling Windows on his PC, the way that I would go about fixing this is stay away from doing any reinstalls from within Windows. I would download Windows to a USB stick, a separate USB stick, format it. The best way to do that is if you have a spare laptop or another PC, install the Windows boot installation media to that USB stick, plug it into the PC, boot off the USB stick, and then go through the route of installing Windows that way, a completely fresh install, deleting all traces of your older Windows install. Doing this will mean that you lose everything on your PC, so as long as you're okay with not having any of your apps again, or you haven't got anything that you need on that PC, feel free to completely wipe the drive, reinstall Windows. If it's still erroring after that and you still can't install Windows, just make sure that it's not the USB stick that's faulty. I very much doubt it, but you can always just cross all these things off. Try and load the Windows media, install media, sorry, on another USB stick. Try the install again. If it still fails, then most likely it might be a failed hard drive or hard disk or SSD, and you may just need to buy a new one. Looking at a comment that someone else has left, he said that you can just get a cheap SSD, which is true. The Kingston ones I wouldn't really recommend. They're cheap for a reason. They get the job done, but having a Windows 10 install on a Kingston drive, I've had problems where if I download anything to that drive, my whole PC just kind of freezes and acts really sluggish. I've only seen it happen with these Kingston drives. I think it's just I have seen online the reason for it. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I wouldn't install Windows on one of these drives. Or if you do, just prepare yourself for when you're installing things or installing updates from Steam or something like that, that you're going to get some kind of sluggishness while that update's going through. Here a user is having some problems with their internet connection. They've come home, turned their PC on, and it's not connecting to the internet. Wi-Fi works fine, which is a good step, which means you can get drivers if you need to, if there's a driver problem. But what I would try here is on a wired connection. First of all, I'd go for swapping the Ethernet cable. I don't think you've mentioned that you've done it here. It looks like you've just unplugged it and switched the ports. When you say switch the ports, hopefully that's on the router and not a switch, like a network switch. If it's a network switch, make sure you restart that network switch as well. Try a different cable, as I just said. If it still doesn't work, what you can do is uninstall the Ethernet drivers. You can do that by right clicking the Windows Start icon, going to Device Manager, finding the Ethernet adapter drivers and just right clicking and uninstalling them. Then from there, restart your PC. What that would do is it will send Windows to find its own kind of drivers for it, see if that then fixes it. If not, uninstall them. Because you've got Wi-Fi, find the page for your motherboard that has all the drivers and download the Ethernet driver from the motherboard site. That should hopefully fix it. It looks like you've already flushed DNS. I'd also make sure that you haven't got a static IP address set up. You can do this by going to Control Panel, Network Adapter Settings, right clicking your network adapter, going to Properties, and seeing if there's a static IP address there. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else that would be causing this, but if I do, I might just put something in the description or something over the top of the video, just saying one extra thing if I can think of something while editing this. This one isn't really a fix, but it's more of just some suggestions. If you've bought a pre-built and you want to move to a new case, there is nothing wrong with that. Feel free to go online, find a case that you like, and look up how to build a PC pretty much. If you've never built a PC, moving all the components to a new case gives you the option to learn how to build a PC. Before moving everything to the new case, it might be best to take some pictures of your current setup, where all the cables are, the back of the cables. Just take as many pictures as you can, so if anything doesn't work or you're not sure about something, you can always look back at these pictures. Combine that with the knowledge that you've learned from watching a YouTube video of how to build a PC, you should be good to go, and you should have no problem with moving all your components to a new case. What I will say is make sure that your pre-built is has got all the generic parts, so it hasn't got a proprietary motherboard or a proprietary PSU. It's just a standard ATX motherboard, micro ATX, the standard motherboards, and a standard PSU. Should be good to go just to move that to a new case. There should be no problems there. Here we have a user where their CPU is at 60 degrees at idle and starts moving to 70 degrees. That definitely isn't normal. 60 degrees is very hot for a CPU at idle, and looking at the rest of the post, he's got an AIO. As he says, he checks the tube of the cooler, so 60 degrees is not a good temperature. What I would check here, some people have already said it in the comments of what to check, but just to go over a couple of things, I would check that the CPU cold plate or the block is mounted properly. Look up a YouTube video. I said this in one of my previous videos, but look at the manual if you've still got it, or look up a YouTube video of the cooler that you've bought just to make sure that you've properly installed it. Make sure you've got the right amount of thermal paste. I mean, I wouldn't quite say it's thermal paste. I'd say it's more. This sounds more of like a dead pump or a dead pump or a contact issue. But make sure that you've got the right amount of thermal paste. Make sure that the sticker has been pulled off the bottom of the CPU block. A lot of people tend to do that. It will literally just be a sticker that says please remove before installing. Another thing that you can check is that the pump is actually pumping water around the AIO. You can do this by resting your fingers against the tubes or the block itself and just seeing if you can feel the water flowing through. It will make a slight vibration. If all else fails, you can then look at buying a different cooler, maybe a tower cooler, testing any other older coolers if you've got them. Just go down the route, because it sounds like to me, again, just to go over it, it's either it's not mounted properly, you've got the sticker still on the block, the pump's failed. It's got to be one of those things, I think. Here we have a user who's getting this message when they start up their laptop. This is a typical Windows 10 message when your OS is corrupted or it's not quite happy and it thinks that it needs to repair files every time that you boot up the laptop. The way to fix this is either reset the PC. I think on Windows 10 now you have the option to reinstall Windows from within Windows through a cloud install. Probably the best way to do it. Again, make sure that all of your apps and all of your documents have been saved somewhere before. When I say apps, sorry, I'm just trying to make you aware, or make this user aware, that they're going to lose everything if they reinstall Windows. Or, as said previously in this video, you can set up a USB stick with the Windows installation media, and you can just reinstall Windows using that. Do a fresh install of Windows, delete everything off the hard drive, and just go ahead and set everything back up again. That should definitely fix your problem here. If this does reoccur after reinstalling Windows, you then might have to look at your hard drive or SSD, as it may actually have a problem with the hardware itself, and then you'll be looking at replacing the SSD within the laptop. Normally SSDs and hard drives can be replaced in laptops. They're not soldered to the board, so you shouldn't have any problems with that, and pretty much any newer SSD will fit. You'll have to look at hard drives that are laptop specific, but if you're going to upgrade and you're on a hard drive, you might as well go over an SSD because it's a night and day difference. Just while editing this, I've realised I've been a bit hypocritical with kind of what I've said in a previous comment where I said try to stay away from resetting Windows from within Windows. What I'm trying to say is the best option to reset Windows is to use the Windows Media Creation tool and completely wipe your hard drive and reinstall Windows through a USB stick. But if you're not comfortable with doing that, The other option is to reinstall Windows from within Windows, but select reinstall Windows from the cloud, as I've seen pretty much the same result with this, and it's a slightly easier than putting a media installation tool on a USB stick if you're not quite comfortable with doing that. But personally, I'd learn it that way because it's way better to reinstall Windows like that, and you'll avoid a lot of problems when installing Windows. Okay, so that will be the end of episode 3. Thank you all for watching. What I think I'm going to do, I've got an idea, because I have heard back from some people that I've looked at in the previous videos. If I do hear back that any of my tips have fixed someone's problem, I'll just put that at the start of one of the videos. Or another thing that I might do is set up, still show the fixes at the start of the videos, but then also maybe have like a little tally at the start of the video of how many times my comments or suggestions have fixed something. Then we can just keep track as the series goes along, and we can yeah, just keep track of how many things we fixed. But if you've enjoyed the video and you want to see more of this, feel free to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment if you've got any ideas of yourself or any of the problems that we've discussed today. And yeah, have a good day. Laters.